In a certain land there is a majestic mountain range which lifts its towering peaks above rough and densely wooded sides, like great supplicating arms to the skies. From out the verdant luxuriance of trees and shrubs, mighty staggering monarchs of the forest toss high their branches, as though to grasp in their trembling fingers the clouds that hover over them. A narrow trail, barely a footpath, winds up to these mountains. Here and there it leads over some loose rocks and broken boulders, or from stone to stone across some waterfall that descends like a stream of crystal from the snow-covered peaks far above. In that wood there is no silence, for there is ever a rippling, ever a swishing, even a sighing, as from the mountainsides trickle numberless streams, or through the treetops the winds whisper its message to any listening ear. Up this narrow path climbs an occasional hiker. The fleet-footed deer still peer shyly out of the thickets, springing from rock to rock or darting among the shrub growth that clothes the precipitous slopes on either side. Here, too, the mountain lion lurks, and at night its shining eyes gaze out from the darkness at the campfire of the hiker. Here also the wolf and fox abound, and in the lower valleys prowls the coyote, yapping in incessant protest as the shades of evening gather. Perhaps an awkward bear crosses the path and waddles along on his short, ungainly legs. Many stories are told of these mountains, many legends fashioned by the minds of the ancient dreamers and perpetuated by their descendants. But the strangest of all is the story of the old man of the mountain. Somewhere in the fastness of these hills, so the story goes, lived a hermit who had dwelt there for many years. As far back as the oldest hunters could remember, the story was told of how one, tired of the world and its shams, had crept away from the haunts of men to make his domicile among the crags of these mountains whose lofty peaks seemed to touch the sky. Once in a great while someone saw him far off in the distance, as motionless he stood on the shore of some mountain lake, or walked slowly along the brow of some barren hill silhouetted against the sky. He was known as the Old Man of the Mountain, the Hermit of the Mighty Peaks. So here's a quick map of the route I took. I went from Atlanta, Idaho, through the middle of the Sawtooth Wilderness to Stanley, and then came back kind of on the eastern side. In total it was 107 miles, and it took 7 days. So starting in at Atlanta, Idaho down here, you could park at the power plant campground, and that's where the power plant trail begins. It takes you right up here to the Middle Fork Trail where the Sawtooth Wilderness begins, and following that trail north, for about 12 miles, I ran into a bear. The video for that's coming shortly, but that's exactly where the bear sighting was at, and I camped less than a mile from the bear, so that was a lot of fun. Going up here, instead of heading up into the Spangle Lake area, take a right, and I went up to the Fly Trip Trail, or the Heart Lake Trail. And that brings you up here into this wonderful area, which is a dead end. There's no trails out of here. So to get out, my first off-trail area began, and I headed up the side of the mountain here to an unnamed lake and made it over this mountain pass into the Tin Lake Creek area. Now, the Tin Lake Creek area is really nice because, again, there's no trails into here. This is the closest one way over here, and it's not the easiest terrain to cross. I needed to get north, so I crossed what ended up being the face of a cliff. I didn't know that because it doesn't look like it on Google Earth. But once I got there, I realized this thing is a straight up and down cliff. But if you're extremely careful, you can scramble your way across this cliff face and get back on the Ardith Lake Trail, which I then followed north. Following that trail north to the Mount Kramer Trail, and taking the Mount Kramer Trail here up past Hidden Lake, Temple Lake, and from there you can see the temple itself. It is right up here, crossing over the mountain pass, dropping down where I had my second night camping at mile 26 here. And these are the Kramer Lakes, upper, middle, and lower Kramer Lake. Following this trail north, and here it splits off for Redfish Lake, but take it up into the mountains, past the Alpine Lakes, Barren Lakes, and the Barren Creek Falls is here. Following Barren Creek down, I camped at the Y here, mile 41, and in the morning went up the Sawtooth Lake Trail, which wraps you around here and up by some beautiful lakes. Right by Sawtooth Lake and Barren Creek Trail gets you right back to Stanley. Now there's a brand new trail that was just built this year that goes from Stanley to Redfish Lake, and that's what this green line is. So you can follow the brand new path that takes you right here to Redfish Lake. And what I did at Redfish Lake was they have a hiker boat shuttle service, which was only $16, and it got me a boat ride all the way across this lake, which saved quite a bit of hiking. And then it was a lot of fun. And from there you can see the trail loops around this way, comes up an extremely steep mountain to where you can get on the Alice Lake Redfish Lake Trail. This trail goes a long ways, and it brings you first by a few lakes here, and then Hell Roaring Lake, Imogene Lake. It was my 5th night camping there at mile 81, and from here the trail is pretty brutal because it brings you straight through multiple mountain passes by Sandy Mountain, where you drop down into Toxaway Lake and follow the trail up here. Now the trail continues on to Alice Lake, but I need to get to Atlanta, which is south. So this is where the second off trail area begins. And I went off trail underneath of Snowyside Peak, crossed the side of Snowyside Peak. So this was no easy climb, but again, it is possible. I crossed over here and I was above the Alpine Creek Lakes area. No trail down through the Alpine Creek Lake area to speak of until you get down to about here. Finally, you can follow a bit of a trail down through the avalanche areas and drop down into the creek. Crossover, you can go up here towards the Alpine Creek Lake number 4. This, which it says there's a trail, and you start climbing up here and you find out that it's not. It's rock climbing. So again, you're basically free soloing up the side of a mountain here to get to Alpine Creek Lake number 4. So here from the Alpine Creek Lake number 4, I headed up into the mountains, past multiple more lakes and a lot of snow, and was able to climb this mountain, cross, and finally get across the mountain where I dropped down into the Mattingly Creek Lakes, or the Mattingly Lakes here. And from there, a scramble down the mountainside to the Mattingly Trail. The Mattingly Trail was my 6th night camping at mile 99. That day I did about 25 miles to get here. On the 6th night camp, followed the Mattingly Trail out. And of course, that brought me back to Atlanta, Idaho. So 107 miles total. And what a journey. Let's take a look at the video. Back on the trail again. This is the avalanche area. If you leave Atlanta, Idaho, head north, there was a massive avalanche here this winter. but lots of snow left. There's the moon and the sun. They're pretty close. Big old bear right there. There is currently a massive adult bear, and the bush is right up here. He just walked into him. No path to this lake, so it's off trail for a few miles up here. And I gotta head up right up here and then up there. Almost to the top. This is called Our Death Lake, and I won't be going down to it. Unfortunately, there's no trail, and I gotta somehow get through over here. But there was a little way through. Coming out of this rock. Welcome to Hidden Lake. Hidden Lake down here. Alpine Lake Sea, but I don't see any running water. There we go. Break time. Alpine Lake D, if it is on the map at all. Upper Barren Lake and Lower Barren Lake. And then right over here, there's a couple of the upper alpine lakes. Well, here it is. The Sawtooth Mystery Lake. It's called Upper Barren Lake. And you can see Lower Barren Lake right below it. Now, I don't know what's special about this Upper Barren Lake to give Google problems with it. But most all map, Garmin, Google, this lake is all kinds of funny looking. Lower Barren Lake. There's some really pretty waterfalls over there. They're probably hard to see with the camera. That's where I'm headed. Down the valley. Ouch. Stinging nettle. Right there. There it is. Sunflower stem and peanut butter. A little bit like celery. North Fork, Barren Creek Lake. Well, this is the end of Sawtooth Lake, and now it's just it's going to be the stream all the way down. Oh dear. Last time I did one of these, I got my shoe wet. I like this path. Now it's straight down the hill to Stanley. And I'm probably not going to film much of any of it because I'm going to just get down there as quick as possible. So I found if you're coming down something really steep, which here it's getting a little better, then it's better to go backwards. Hell Roaring Lake. I'm always scared to take off my shoes because I think I'm gonna find a blister, but so far so good. Ooh, it's cold but not freezing. If you're downstream, don't drink the water. Sorry. No one's out here, guys. I haven't seen anybody all day today. Not one person. I thought when I got to the lake out here, I might find someone. It's about 6:30 a.m. out here on Imogene Lake. And it's time to start hiking. 6:30, maybe 8:30 or so, I'll have breakfast. 2-3 miles up. Mosquitoes are crazy out here. See you guys down the road. Well, that's one way to start your morning. You can probably see the path right up here. Now the good news is it's early, so the snow's hard. At the top, Lake Imogene's down there. But what's over here? Edith Lake down there. Yellow Belly Lakes down here, and this one is Rendezvous Lake. And I didn't see a name for that one. Unnamed Lake. Oh, look at that trail down there. But not me, I'm going this way. Two lakes here. There's one here and one up above. Not big enough for a name though. Unnamed lake. Two lakes. They're unnamed, but they might be upper Toxaway Lakes 1 and 2. Oh dear. And it's time for the switchbacks. See you at the top. From up here, you can see Alice Lake too. Alice Lake is a far one. And Twin Lakes right in front of us. Below us. I'm off trail, trying to get across this mountain. This rock wall looks like my biggest obstacle, but hopefully I can cross up there because none of that looks passable. So there's not, anyways, there ain't much of a way up, but now I'm practically on the edge of a cliff. But that is parallel from me, so it looks like I could probably scramble my way up there and get over. The only saving grace is that there's trees here with some roots. Okay, can I get down? I don't know. I'm certainly on a razor edge of a mountaintop. Good grief. It's a sheer cliff. These are the 3 lakes right there. These are the Alpine Creek Lakes. And I don't feel safe where I'm at. It looks like I can get down over here. Well, I made it, but I don't recommend that to anybody. I had to come down this, and I've thought for a moment, as a couple times, about a rock avalanche started. It took me down with it. So yes, you can cross off trail from Twin Lakes to Alpine Creek Lakes by crossing right across the side of Snowyside Peak. I see a trail. I think I have to go this way. Well, I better find a way down. Shoot. Peanut butter powder with olive oil. My favorite. Another splash of waterfall. That should do her. Perfect. Oh, and I'm thirsty too. Oh. Man, that's the best water you ever tasted. Cheers. Now we're talking. Still making my way across Alpine Creek Lakes. I don't know which one this is. Because there's a lot of them. This is Alpine Creek Lake 14. I haven't seen so many fish jumping in one of the lakes yet as this one. I haven't caught them all on camera. They were jumping like crazy until I walked up. There's one right there. There's a big one right there. Had another avalanche. That unruly snow taking all the good trees out. I just want to pass. This is Alpine Creek Lake number 4. And once again, this is where the path ends. As if there was much of a path, but it was straight up the mountain. It was more like free solo mountain climbing. Someone must be up here. I don't see anybody. But I've got to go up. I guess up here and up that mountain towards Mattingly Peak. And going off trail again. So the path I took, I think it's the best, is about halfway through this lake. There's well, right now there's a big field of snow there, or there'll just be a big field there, and it's grassy, a little hard to see, but it's grassy and rocky all the way up. So I've been able to follow kind of, you see the grass route. Here's the route of the mountain and to the next lake. I'd be surprised if one person a year sees this lake. It's ridiculous to get up here. Unnamed lake. Alpine Creek Lake, I guess. But I gotta get to the top of this mountain before it's sunset. Next, I made my way through the next mountain pass, across this mountaintop, and down to Mattingly Lakes. Mattingly Creek Lakes. This is the lower one. I don't feel like filming it. I get into a campsite, but this was the way down. I came down from that mountain peak and I'm trying to get to Mattingly Trail before sundown. That was weird. Right up by this dead tree, a big old branch just came flying out of it. I mean, it landed right down here. It didn't. Maybe it broke. No, it didn't. I seen it. I seen it come flying like this, like it got thrown. Who's up there? Whatever. So finally I made it down the hill, made it to Mattingly Trail, and camped there at Mattingly Trail that night. And made it out the next morning, which was the 7th day. So 107 miles and 7 days total.